Hi, I'm Regina Seguin, a librarian at Valencia's West Campus. I'm so glad that you've decided to make undergraduate research a part of your course, and I'd like to talk with you about how librarians can be partners in that work. In the fall of 2017, Dr. Melanie Sexton and I collaborated to prepare students to complete an undergraduate research project in her cognitive psychology course. I'll briefly share some insights from that experience, as well as some other ideas on how you can partner with librarians in your own courses. What makes a successful partnership? For Melanie and I, it came down to 4 characteristics. First, the unit was outcomes-based. What this means is, we started with the end in mind. What did we want students to learn through the undergraduate research process? And importantly, what did they need to know in order to make progress along the way? In our case, Melanie wanted students to read a classic psychology study, perform a literature review, and design a new study that built upon the work of others. We determined that students first needed to understand how to approach a scholarly article, how scholarly literature is produced and published, and how to search a psychology database. Most of Melanie's students had previous library instruction, but not many had it in the context of social sciences, so these concepts weren't necessarily familiar to them. Second, the unit was collaboratively planned. Melanie and I worked together to plan the unit. As we talked about everything the students needed to learn, we decided that one library visit was not going to be enough. Based on Melanie's timeline, we planned 3 separate library visits that would scaffold the instruction throughout the unit. To plan the activities for each session, her discipline expertise complemented my experience teaching research across the curriculum. We also made sure that the library had resources necessary to complete the project. We made sure that the library databases contained full text of the classic studies that Melanie assigned, and that searches for similar studies yielded a robust set of results. Third, learning was reinforced throughout the unit. In my opinion, this is absolutely crucial. Students did not experience library instruction in a vacuum. Before each library visit, Melanie prepared the students so they came in with a sense of purpose. Each lesson built upon the previous one, and they were timed so that students could immediately apply what they were learning in the library to the project at hand. In fact, students did some of their project work during the library visit itself, so I was able to assist them with the actual implementation. Finally, we assessed and discussed the project. After each library session, we spent a few minutes discussing what worked and what didn't, and observing the impact on students. By the 3rd visit, it was clear to me that having a series of lessons was making a difference. I've taught classes on APA citation many times before, and I'm used to deer-in-the-headlights looks, but I didn't get them with this class. Students understood the basics of scholarly publishing and library databases, and were at a point in their project where they were ready to develop references pages and write up their studies. Their questions were on point, and they were really engaged. At the end of the unit, I visited Melanie's class to see the students present their research. It was really helpful for me to see how they synthesized all these concepts into the final presentations. So, how can a librarian assist your students? Listed here are some of the common needs students have when embarking on undergraduate research. Some or all of them may be relevant to your project. All of these can be addressed through partnership with a librarian. One way to consider involving a librarian in your project is to look at the elements of undergraduate research: clear goals, adequate preparation, appropriate methods, significant results, and effective presentation. Here's how our 3 sessions fit into that model. Often, librarians can be helpful partners in the clear goals, adequate preparation, and effective presentation stages of the project. Essentially, librarians can assist with any aspect of the project that involves information literacy. The Association for College and Research Libraries has identified 6 key frames for understanding information literacy. They are, briefly, authority, information creation, the value of information, inquiry in the research process, scholarship as a conversation, and strategic searching. These frames provide a reference point for the many ways librarians can assist undergraduate researchers. Here's how our session outcomes mapped to each of the 6 frames. A real concern for faculty is making time to fit this library instruction into your unit, so I want to address that. First, library instruction is meant to be active and applied, so students can be making progress toward their final product while they're working with the librarian. Second, library visits are popular, but they're not the only model available. You can opt for a synchronous virtual session, or have a librarian embed in your online course for the duration of the unit. Or you can work with a librarian to design a customized LibGuide or online tutorial that students engage with outside of class. Whatever mode you choose, I'd encourage you to contact a librarian at your campus to talk through the possibilities. We're so excited to work with you in making undergraduate research accessible to our students. See you soon.